Hi friends, welcome to our farm. This is Kirsten Pankratz. Jay and Leroy have been cleaning out the bottom of the yard. They cut down some trees that were super junky and not very big, and they cleaned out a bunch of vines and scrubby stuff. And we are actually going to plant some peach trees that came up in the compost down there. We have had the most success with peach trees that have just come up from pits. And so since we have so many that have come up in the compost, we needed to find a place that was bigger than the garden to plant them in. So they cleaned up the bottom of the yard, and I should have gotten some before pictures, but I didn't. But anyway, I have this. You can see they have flattened stuff out, and they're just getting the real junky stuff here and put it in the Dodge so that we could dump it back in the cutover, so that the area is all nice and smooth and cleaned out. And this was on Saturday. And Saturday afternoon, Jay and I laid the whole area out. We measured and put stakes where each tree would go. We put 10 in here. And today, we actually planted the tomatoes in the garden, and then we planted the peach trees at the very end of the day. And so I wanted to show you that, but I needed to show you the very beginning here where Jay and Leroy were cleaning it all up. Today is the day. Finally going to plant the tomatoes outside. I have been hardening them off slowly. They had been super wimpy plants because the weather was cold and I had to keep them in the house a lot to keep them warm enough. But I have gotten them hardened off over, I don't know, a couple weeks here, just giving them a little time at a time in the sun, and it's been a little windy out, so you can see right there is what happens when they get too much sun at once or whatever. But overall they're fine and they're hardened off, and we're going to get them out in the garden. Tomatoes are not supposed to be planted out until the nights are over 50 degrees consistently every night. They can't take the temperature is colder than that because it can have diseases set in. So last week we had some pretty cold weather. We even had to run the wood stove in the house, keep the chill off. So I've waited. We don't normally wait this long to get tomatoes in, but this morning we're gonna get them planted. The boys are digging the holes for the peaches. Jay and I laid it all out so everything is even. We're gonna have 2 rows. We should be able to get 10 peaches in here. And since this was woods here, the soil is not too bad. Where we plant each one, we're gonna put some soil from the chicken pen, which is good dirt that the chickens have made. But this is not too bad a soil here. So there are roots. So they're using the bars and pneumatics and shovels and whatever, and digging some holes. And they're doing that, and the girls and I are getting the tomatoes in. So I'm gonna head on down to the garden while they finish this up. All right, we've got the tomatoes down at the garden here, and we are gonna get ready to plant. These are the 2 rows that we're gonna plant the tomatoes in. Leroy made them up the other day. This is where the chickens had been all winter. They have turned the deep bedding, which was leaves and hay, into good soil, and the ratio of organic matter to manure is fine. We've done it like this several times, and the manure is not too strong to plant in. So this is what we do excuse me, for our tomatoes and our corn, and the good soil makes them grow really well. So we'll put the first tomato like right here. Here it was. All right, that'll be good. I'm just gonna do Okay, so Clara's getting it out very gently so she doesn't break off the top. These tomatoes have gotten really, really tall because, like I said, normally we get them planted earlier. This is kind of late for us. So with tomatoes, you want to plant them really deep so they get good roots. So we've got a hole nice and deep here. Clara's taken off all the bottom branches, and because we have them planted in the little paper pots that we made, we just put the whole thing in, which is good for the tomato because we don't want the roots to be disturbed. So Clara's just putting it nice and tight. You don't want air around the roots, and that will help hold it up too.
You might want to put your hand at the bottom. Come on.
Okay, we're running out of space in these two rows. We're going to plant the top of that other row. We've got all the Romas in, and now they're starting to plant some of the regular eating tomatoes, and then after that they've got cherry tomatoes. These are our fiberglass hoops that will get bent over the rows, and here's our row cover. And you don't have to do this, we just have what we need for it. We did this last year and it worked really well. It is rough on tomatoes to get planted out. They don't like to be disturbed. Once they're going, they're really, really tough, but they're weaklings at the beginning. They just like to be babied. So we're about to get the drip line put real close to them again, and we'll turn that on, and then we're gonna put the hoops over and cover them so the wind, it's real windy today, and that way the wind won't be whipping them around, and they will not have a huge amount of sun on them. They'll get a little shade from the row cover. We'll leave that on for a few days and then it comes off. Okay, this is how we have the hoops spaced. Just enough to hold the row cover. It's kind of windy, so we want to get this row cover on. But again, I never used to do this because I didn't have row cover, so you don't have to. It's just nice if you can to give the tomatoes a little more protection. Okay, give me one and you take one. Give me one. Thank you. Hold it over so it doesn't rip.
I should lift this hip to the very end.
So make sure you fold it over so it's nice and...
Ma, I can get them.
What, the row covers?
Yeah, since the thick one is still on the bottom.
And anything that needs to get out of the garden, get out of the garden. Jimmy, if you want to do something, or a Leroy or somebody, take the nozzle off the hose and see if you can screw it onto right here.
Hey, where's the other one?
Put them over here.
There's one that's in that thing.
Try not to mess up how Leroy, I have the drip line exactly how it needs to be, so try not to jerk it and stuff. Oh, this is not ideal. Okay.
Excuse me, girls. Are these circle hooks put together?
Yes. Okay, girls. Let's use this one on this, and then we'll see if that's the long one.
Jim would probably eat it if I stuck it down the pocket. Even if I stuck it in my face, but it's going to like, just go right there.
Okay. Oh, I made it too short. That's all right. Girls, do you have enough where you are? Okay. Make sure you pull it tight at the top. Ready? Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Okay. What length is it? Okay, Clara. Woo! I think it'll be fine because we don't need to cover the marigolds. We're going to just hook it to the end, okay? Just get it as far as it'll go. Okay.
Well,
Good, Jim. Good, Jim. Bend it down and put it in. Come on. You're like slow motion over here. Were y'all working in the sun? Because Jim is like a sweaty guy.
Yeah.
does not have a hole in the end.
I think I did.
Looks okay. Okay, that might have looked like organized confusion, but we did get it covered and the tomatoes were protected from the wind and we got the drip line on and got it set. It's after supper now and the backyard is all in the shade. We were waiting until it got shady down here to plant the peach trees. I don't want to plant them and have it be all sunny for them, so the girls just went down to the garden and dug them all out. They had come up in the compost, and earlier a couple of the kids had brought some good dirt from the chicken pen and put it in the holes. So each hole is a little more than half full of good dirt, and we're going to mix it with the native dirt that's sitting here, and we're going to get these in. The kids got them out in chunks. I told them to try to get as much dirt with them as they could. And leave the soil level a little bit low right by the tree so the water stays there. And then we'll try to mulch them tomorrow. So don't pack it too hard. I think that looks pretty good to me. And then tomorrow we'll get some grass clippings and mulch it. But we'll water it in just a minute here. All right, so they're just mixing the really good dirt with the red clay that we have. And they're burying them just slightly deeper than how they were in the compost where they came up, because some of the pits were sort of sitting on top of the ground and we don't want that, but we want it really close to the same height.
Get that tree that's work.
I got a little one here. We got all 10 trees planted and Mel watered them, and Clara and Ava and I picked up all the extra dirt and got rid of it. So I've been putting down grass clippings in the garden and I heard the goats carrying on, and finally it hit me that maybe we had a new baby. And we do. This is Maggie, and this is her first baby. Hey, Maggie. And this is actually Melanie's goat. Maggie wasn't supposed to kid until the beginning of May. And she is nursing. Good job. So she's a little earlier than we expected. But that's all right. Baby is healthy. Real pretty. All right, we got to get her moved up to the barn in a minute here. The girls got her moved up to the barn. Mama and baby are both doing well.